My parents always taught me that if you don't have anything nice to say, you don't say anything at all. So I'm kind of in a tough spot here because how do you recap this Packers loss without talking about Mason Crosby's 5 missed kicks?
This is absolutely nuts. This is what you have been waiting a long time for, especially here at Wrigley. What is this moment like for you?
Yeah, this is it. You know, this is the reason we work all off season.
Yeah, this is the dumbest thing I've ever done.
1, 2, 3.
So I guess trying out for the Milwaukee Bucks' new G League team, the Wisconsin Herd, isn't the best idea. The Brewers have basically been hitting the snooze button on the first few innings this year. Once they wake up, it's fine, but early on in games, things have been ugly. It's a sold-out half practice here, because that's really what family night is. It's about 50% practice and 50% kind of like recess in elementary school where everyone's just sort of running around doing whatever they want. And why wouldn't you be excited about that coaching tree, since the top of it is Sean McVay, who of course has his Rams right here at Super Bowl 53. Live in Atlanta, Scott Grodsky, CBS 58 Sports. Chris Kalenda hadn't ridden a bike in 20 years.
Body's not quite working like it did.
Later this year, he'll ride nearly 1,700 miles.
I'm not getting any younger, and if I'm going to do this, I need to do it now. So I went out and bought the bike, hired a cycling coach, and started telling people so I don't chicken out.
The obvious question is why?
This is the 173rd Airborne patch.
The retired U.S. Army colonel is embarking on the 27-day journey to honor 6 soldiers who gave the ultimate sacrifice under his command.
You know, more often than not, when I'm alone with my thoughts, I'll be thinking about them. I'll be thinking about the time we were in Afghanistan.
Riding from Nebraska to Virginia, Chris will stop at the grave sites for all 6 fallen soldiers.
Well, I wanted to do something special to honor their service and sacrifice. I mean, they all died doing the things I asked them to do, following my orders. And I'm the one that can tell their stories.
Stories like Chris Pfeiffer's, his first stop on the Fallen Hero Honor Ride. Pfeiffer died the day before his wife went into labor.
It's not fair that he's dead and people like me are living. It's not fair that some people get dealt better cards than others.
What would Chris think about all of this?
He'd appreciate it. It's about, you know, it's about taking care of our own.
Taking care of their own by raising money for the Sabre 6 Foundation, a foundation that not only helps the families of the 6 fallen heroes, but many of the other 800 servicemen and women who were under Chris in Afghanistan.
Yeah, we're coming up on Memorial Day, and yeah, this is a time to remember the people who've sacrificed so we all could live in peace and pursue our dreams. These 6, they never got to pursue their dreams beyond the military. You know, their dreams are frozen in time. But their buddies, you know, their comrades, their families, their descendants, you know, they've got dreams too, and they deserve to be able to pursue them.
During his ride, Chris knows there will be plenty of times when he'll get tired. Maybe even times when he'll start to think he can't pedal any longer. That's when he'll look down at the 6 names on the top tube of his bike.
I can always see them. You know, so whenever I'm riding, I can always look down and see their names and yeah, just remember what this is all about. And if I start getting a little tired, I look down and get all the inspiration I need.
Inspiration for Chris, who is in turn inspiring others. Scott Grodsky, CBS 58 Sports. Drug dealing at 12, in and out of jail by 15 or so. Where would you be if not for basketball?
I don't know. I think I'll be in the cemetery or in the penitentiary.
It's a long road from 14 arrests to 14 years in the NBA. Racine's Caron Butler was speeding down a bad path until solitary confinement helped him turn his life around.
And I was 23 hours down in the cell, and I had 1 hour to have rec. I had to take a shower. I had to get all that in and go right back to my cell for another 23 hours, sun up, sun down.
23 hours in a cell at 15 years old, day after day. Just think about that for a minute, because thinking is really all Caron could do.
I remember my 4th grade conversations with my teacher. Caron, you're different. You can be special. I remember being kicked out of, you know, school and, you know, my grandmother being there, my auntie being there crying, you know, pleading to the school board to give me another chance. I remember my mother, you know, running me off the block. Police officers, like, It's like, man, just stay off the block. You're gonna die, man. Like, something bad is gonna happen. Like, all these conversations just, boom, just hit me at once.
He reached a crossroads. Take the right turn and get a fresh start. Take the wrong turn, and Karan knew exactly where he'd end up.
I think the biggest thing is, people that you played in the sandbox with and people that you seen on a consistent basis, they're no longer here. I think going to the funerals and, seeing people that was just next to you, now all of a sudden they're laying on their back and they're looking up at you. You're looking down at them, and that could have easily been you in that situation. Right now, as I'm talking to you, I see individuals that, I had to help bury, and the reality of all that set in. And, I knew I was destined to do something else.
Something else turned into making more than $100 million in the NBA, Harvard Business School, and a permanent job as the role model of Racine.
This is a promise that I made back in 2002. I said when I get out of here, I promise I'll be back, because it was so many people that I idolized and I looked up to, and when they made it out, they just never came back.
He's lived up to that promise. We went to his childhood home where everyone has a story about Karan Butler, whether they played with him, want to play like him, or watched him grow up.
He's like almost like a god to some people, because he really comes back and he gives back to the community. Karan has done a phenomenal job in the Racine area, especially for the children.
And the kids can be like, he came from where I came from. Like, I can do it because he did it. Like, I'm no different than you.
Karan retired from the NBA this year, but that's not the end of his journey. He's already gotten the green light to start his second career as a broadcaster.
Yeah, they didn't have the footage, so I'm good with that.
Reporting in Racine, Scott Grodsky, CBS 58 Sports. Former Badgers star Marcus Landry is growing something special in the heart of Milwaukee.
Okay, go put a plant in there.
The Vincent graduate is going back to his Wisconsin roots this summer, teaching kids in a community with intense needs about gardening.
Got it.
I grew up in the city, but at heart, I'm a country boy.
The 6'7" forward isn't your typical botanist, but the seeds were planted early.
That's great.
Growing up, he learned from his mom and grandmother that it takes patience, discipline, and hard work to be a gardener. Principles that stuck with him throughout his 11 seasons in professional basketball.
We can give them a positive foundation. They can go back to that thing that they once learned as a little kid to get them over the hiccups in their lives.
For Marcus, that hiccup came in the form of a torn Achilles this season. The first major injury of his career has him digging back to that foundation and playing it forward, sharing his green thumb with the next generation.
We give these kids the opportunity to not be in front of a device the whole time, but to actually get their hands dirty. They learn about sustainability, being able to grow their own things.
It's just fun to be able to spend time with my second family and being able to see new things grow and how my hard work is helping others.
She can see that hard work blossom immediately. Eliana and many others stick around after gardening to help Marcus's food drive, a food drive that feeds around 300 people in the community, in part by using some of the produce they've grown. Reporting in Milwaukee, Scott Grodsky, CBS 58 Sports.